The Galactic Council chamber was a place where empires lived and died. It was shaped like a great silver dome, lit by thousands of soft blue lamps, and ringed by the banners of 100 worlds. But today, there was no sound, no chatter, no rustle of fabric, just silence, heavy, crushing, unnatural. In the center, on a raised platform, stood Captain Rahl, tall, scaled, and dressed in the black and silver uniform of the Viren Star Navy. Rahl's eyes were fixed, straight ahead. His 4 hands rested on the metal bar in front of him, not shackled, but still trapped. Around him, the council delegates stared as if looking at a dangerous animal, some in disgust, others in fear. Above the platform, giant holoscreens flickered, to life static, then an image, a dark, cramped ship's corridor. A figure, small, delicate, drifted weightlessly in zero gravity. Long brown hair floated around a pale face, limp arms hung motionless, the legs twisted at unnatural angles. She looked almost asleep, until you saw the dark smear of red drifting in tiny globules around her. Gasps filled the chamber, sound like 1,000 voices sucked in at once. The feed froze on her face. A human child, no older than 9. A glowing line of text appeared. Beneath the image, Lila Carter, Earthborn status, deceased. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Some alien delegates whispered to each other in their own tongues. Others simply glared at the captain. Then the recording resumed. The camera tilted slightly, showing the corridor walls shaking, sparks showering down. Somewhere distant, alarms blared. A deep voice, urgent, panicked, called for a medical unit. The image flickered again. And then, just before the feed could reveal more, the screen went black dot silence again. Captain Rahl, the council speaker, said. Her voice was cold and sharp, like a blade. She was from the Luvari species, tall, insect-like, with translucent wings folded against her back. The evidence is clear. A human child is dead aboard your ship. Explain yourself. All eyes turned to him. Rahl's throat moved, but no sound came. His nostrils flared, and the thick muscles of his jaw tensed. He glanced around the chamber slowly, meeting the eyes of each council faction in turn. Biandari with their crystal masks, the hollow-eyed Nuvex, even the lone human delegate, pale and trembling, but he said nothing. The speaker's wings twitched in irritation. This council does not tolerate silence in the face of such a charge. Still nothing, from the upper tiers. Of the chamber, one delegate, a massive fur-covered warrior from the Thurn, slammed his fist on the railing. What more proof do we need? A child is dead. A human child. They are under our protection. Execute him now. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Some shouted for immediate punishment. Others demanded a formal trial. Few, very few, called for calm. The speaker raised her hands, and the sound died. You will answer. Captain, she said, her voice low but deadly. Was it an accident or murder? Rahl's gaze lifted to the hollow screens again, to the frozen image of Lila's face. His lips moved, but he did not answer the question. Instead, he asked, Why was she on my ship at all? The speakers. Mandibles clicked in surprise. You tell us. You were her guardian. I was her captain, Rahl corrected, his tone flat. Not her guardian, she was. Placed aboard my vessel without my consent? The human delegate leaned forward. Placed by whom? Rahl didn't answer. The distress signal on the screens above. Another image appeared, this time from the bridge of Rahl's ship. It was less than a week old. The crew was at their stations. A dozen species worked together, Viren and Dari, 2 humans in engineering uniforms. The atmosphere was tense. The officer's eyes widened at something on her screen. Captain, she called. We're receiving a distress signal source. Rahl's voice was calm, almost bored. The officer tapped her console. Unregistered civilian craft. Location. Outer Rim, Sector 12. She paused, frowning. Sir, the signal is marked Priority 1. Human. The bridge went still. In the Galactic Navy, a Priority 1 human distress code meant immediate response, no matter the risk. Humans were rare beyond their own systems, and their protection was a council law enforced without exception. Course to intercept, Rahl ordered. His second officer, a tall Andari with eyes like molten silver, hesitated. Sir, that sector. Is I said, intercept, Rahl repeated. The crew obeyed. Minutes later, the ship dropped out of warp. The distress signal was close. A tiny ship drifting in the shadow of an asteroid. No weapons. Minimal power. Life support failing. Boarding. Team ready, Rahl ordered. The recording blurred and shifted to body cam footage. The boarding team stepped inside the small craft. The lights were dim, flickering. Air was cold enough to make breath visible. And there, in the back corner, wrapped in a thermal blanket, was a little girl. Human female, one officer reported. Approximate age, 9 standard years. Her eyes were wide, frightened, but when she saw the Viren captain, she tilted her head slightly, as if she recognized him. She whispered something. The audio distorted, too quiet to catch. Rahl knelt down in front of her. What is your name, Lila? She said. Lila Carter? That was the end of the recording. It cut abruptly before showing what happened next. Questions without answers back. In the council chamber, the speaker's eyes narrowed. This proves nothing about the manner of her death, Captain. It only proves she was rescued by your crew. She wasn't rescued, Rahl said. Murmurs swept the room again. She was. Delivered, he continued. That craft wasn't damaged. The life support wasn't failing. It was set to fail, just enough to send a distress call. Someone wanted her on my ship, and you did not report this to the council, the human delegate asked sharply. Rahl's gaze flicked toward him. Would you have listened? The human's jaw tightened. When a human child is involved, yes. Rahl laughed once, a short, bitter sound. No, you would have locked her away, or worse. The speaker leaned forward. Worse than what happened aboard your ship? The captain's jaw worked. But again, he fell silent. The weight of the room around the chamber, tension coiled like a living thing. Some delegates whispered of conspiracies. Others muttered that this was a distraction from more urgent matters, border skirmishes, trade, disputes. But the death of a human child, especially under mysterious circumstances, is not something that could be ignored. On one balcony, a news drone hovered, streaming every second of the hearing to billions across the galaxy. In the public plazas of 100 worlds, beings of every shape and color stared at giant screens, watching the silent figure of the Viren captain stand accused, and on Earth itself, the image of Lila's lifeless body had already gone viral, sparking protests, outrage, and fear. The speaker's voice broke the silence. Captain Rahl, the council demands the truth. For the sake of the galaxy, for the sake of Earth, for the sake of that child's memory, tell us what happened. Rahl's eyes darkened. You don't want the truth, he said. You want a name to blame. You want a clean story to tell. You're citizens, but you have no idea what she really was. His last words were barely above a whisper, but in the perfect acoustics of the chamber. HumanityFYeah code. You don't know what she really was. The chamber went silent again, a deeper, heavier silence than before. Even the ever-present hum of machinery seemed to fade. Some delegates looked confused, others looked alarmed, and a few looked afraid. Far above the holoscreens still showed the frozen image of Lila Carter, drifting in zero gravity, hair spread like a halo, eyes closed forever, and somewhere, far beyond the reach of the council's laws, something else was watching. The council chamber was quieter than before, but the tension had doubled. Rahl's words, "You don't know what she really was," still hung in the air like smoke from a gun that hadn't been fired yet. The speaker's multifaceted eyes blinked once, twice before she gave the smallest nod to someone in the ice shadows. A thin, metallic figure glided forward, the council's archivist AI. It had no face, only a shifting hologram where a head should be. Streaming lines of alien text that flickered and vanished. Its voice was soft but carried to every corner of the chamber. Galactic records indicate no human child has ever been born beyond the Sol system without documented genetic modification for off-world survival. The human delegate frowned. That's true. Human children require strict environmental control when born off Earth. That's why the archivist interrupted, its tone suddenly sharper. Subject: Lila Carter, DNA analysis complete. Genome: 99.98% Homo sapiens. 0.02% unidentified origin. The room stirred like a beast, waking up. Something that shouldn't. Beatty holoscreens flashed to life again, showing magnified DNA strands. Most glowed in a soft human blue, but a few segments pulsed with an ominous red hue. This sequence, the archivist continued, does not match any known species, registered or otherwise. It is not random mutation. It is deliberate.
Undating.
The Indari delegate leaned forward, voice metallic through its rebreather. Are you saying she was engineered? The archivist tilted its head, or whatever counted as a head. Pattern is too precise for natural evolution. The anomaly is dormant. But if activated, it could alter the subject's physiology in ways. Unpredictable? What kind of ways? Asked the human delegate. The archivist paused, and for a moment, its normally perfect tone carried something almost like unease. Increased cognitive speed, enhanced cellular regeneration, potential psionic capability. The Thurn warrior barked a laugh. So, few enhancements don't explain a dead child. The archivist's voice dropped in pitch. Correction. This sequence exists in no other genome in the entire Council database. It should not exist at all. And yet it matches fragments found only once before in the ruins of the Eridani extinction zone. The name alone was enough to hush the chamber again. Rahl's interruption, that's why she was on my ship. Rahl said suddenly. All heads turned toward him. She wasn't just a human child, he continued. She was a weapon. Someone sent her to me, knowing what she carried. The speaker's voice was tight. If that is true, why not bring her here immediately? Because the moment the Council had her, she'd be dissected like a specimen, Rahl said, his tone heavy with contempt. You'd study her, replicate her, and in 10 years there'd be fleets of soldiers with her DNA. The human delegate slammed a hand on his desk. That's speculation? No, Rahl said flatly. It's history. That's what happened with the Viren psionic strain. That's what happened with the Indari neural lattice. You find something new, you weaponize it. A few delegates looked away, as if guilty. The leak before the speaker could respond. A new voice cut in, sharp, urgent. Madam Speaker. A young assistant stumbled into the chamber, clutching a data slate. There's been a leak. The holoscreens flickered, and without authorization, new footage filled the air. It was Lila again, but not dead. She sat in what looked like a storage bay, speaking softly to the small spherical AI drone that hovered in front of her. Her hair was a mess, her voice trembling. They're coming, she whispered. They're already here. The AI beeped. Who is coming, Lila? She shook her head. If I say it, they'll hear me. I have to be quiet. The feed cut to static. The chamber erupted into chaos. Delegates shouted over one another. Demands for explanations clashed with calls for immediate security lockdowns. Whispers and fears. The human delegate looked pale. Anything, a frightened child's imagination. Rahl's voice sliced through the noise. No, she knew something. And whoever they are, they've been here longer than any of you think. The speaker raised her voice above the din. Order. Order. It took almost a full minute for the noise to die. The speaker's gaze locked on Rahl. Captain, do you claim to know the identity of this threat? I know enough to say the Council isn't ready for it, he said. And I know Lila Carter died because she wouldn't let them take her alive. A heavy silence settled. The threat on the horizon, the archivist's holographic face shifted to a star map. One sector blinked red. Related to this incident, long-range scanners have detected increased activity in the uncharted regions beyond. Sector 9. The human delegate narrowed his eyes. You think that's related? Rahl didn't look away from the map. I don't think I know how, the speaker demanded. The captain's answer was quiet, but every microphone caught it because before she died, Lila told me the exact coordinates where they'd strike first. The holo map zoomed in, revealing a faint outline of a planet in the target zone. It was Earth. The chamber's silence was broken only by the faint hum of the projectors. Billions across the galaxy were watching the broadcast live. On Earth, people stared at the image of their home world marked with a pulsing red threat marker. On distant mining stations, alien crews whispered to each other in uneasy tones. The speaker folded her insect-like hands. Captain Rahl, if what you say is true, then this council faces more than just a murder inquiry. It's already facing it, Rahl said. You're just too slow to see it. The holoscreens froze again on Lila's recorded face. Pale, frightened, whispering to her drone, they're coming. They're already here. Somewhere beyond the council's reach. Something vast and patient waited, and its eyes were already on Earth. The galaxy was already holding its breath. News of the mysterious genetic anomaly in Lila Carter had spread faster than any official announcement. On the data feeds of 1,000 worlds, her pale face stared back, sometimes as a victim, sometimes as a weapon, sometimes as something in between. But now, another leak had appeared. And it was far worse. An unwanted broadcast that began in the middle of the night cycle for most of the core worlds. Without warning, every major civilian channel flickered, the normal programs replaced by a black screen. Then, a small white waveform appeared in the center. An unfamiliar voice began to play. Shaky, young, unmistakably human. They're coming. The voice was quiet, like a secret being shared in the dark. They're already here. There was a pause. Just long enough for the faint sound of her breathing to come through. You can't stop them. No one can. Not the council. It's not the fleets. Not even a sharp gasp cut her off. Background noise swelled, a metallic groan as though a ship's hull were bending under pressure. If they find me. Her voice trembled. Don't trust. And then nothing. The recording cut abruptly to static. The transmission lasted less than 20 seconds, but by the end of it, the damage was done. Panic spread like fire in a dry forest. Merchants in the trade hubs began packing up. Outer colony governors sent frantic requests for more patrol ships. On Earth, military recruitment surged overnight, though no one could say exactly who they'd be fighting. Back in the council, the speaker's wings quivered in controlled fury as she slammed her staff on the floor. Who authorized that broadcast? The archivist AI stood motionless. Analysis? No council authorization. Signal originated from an unregistered node within the communications relay network. Trace it, the speaker ordered. Already attempted. Trace was diverted. 14 times. Final bounce location. Unknown. The human delegate leaned forward. It's her voice. His eyes were fixed on the frozen waveform projected above the chamber. Captain, the speaker said, her tone sharp. You were her commanding officer. Explain what we just heard. Rahl's voice was low. Her final warning. Suspicion grows final. The Thurn warrior scoffed. She spoke this before she died, as Rahl said, without looking up. Hours before, the human delegate frowned. Then why was this not included in your initial report? 'Cause, Rahl said, you'd all have ignored it, just like you've ignored every other threat you don't understand until it's too late. The speaker's voice was icy. Captain, tread carefully. Rahl looked up at her, unblinking. No, you tread carefully, 'cause whatever they are, they're already inside your borders. And if Lila's right there, already here, in this room. The chamber erupted. Shouts, accusations, demands for security sweeps. Some delegates looked around nervously as though expecting an invisible enemy to reveal itself any second. Behind closed doors, the speaker ordered the chamber cleared. Within minutes, the public galleries were empty, the news drones gone, the soundproof barriers activated. Only the council core remained, the highest-ranking representatives of each major species. The archivist AI and Captain Rahl. Captain, the speaker began. You have 30 seconds to explain exactly who or what they are. Rahl's gaze flicked briefly toward the human delegate, then back to the speaker. I don't know their true name. No one does. But they've been erasing themselves from history for longer than your council has existed. The archivist's hologram shifted uneasily. Records confirm. Gataza? Anomalies in ancient archives, consistent with large-scale data purges. Don't invade like your enemy fleets, Rahl continued. They infiltrate, replace, control. By the time you realize what's happening, they're already in your governments. Your fleets, your families. A cold silence fell. The coordinates, the human delegate's voice was barely steady. And you claim Lila knew their next move? Rahl nodded. She gave me coordinates. The holoscreens lit up, projecting a map of a distant star system, sparse, empty. A single yellow sun. Scattering of rocky worlds. Nothing of strategic value. This, the speaker said, is meaningless. No, Rahl said. Because they don't attack military targets first. They take soft targets, remote colonies, civilian outposts, places no one would defend until it's too late. The human delegate swallowed hard. There's a human colony there, yes, Rahl said. There won't be for long. Unseen eyes, in the darkened chamber, the archivist's sensors swept for unauthorized transmissions. After a long pause, it spoke. Warning. Passive data siphon detected. Source unknown. Location. Impossible to triangulate. The speaker's wings stiffened. Shut it down. I cannot, the archivist said. It is not part of our network. We are being watched. The delegates looked at one another, not in suspicion, but in something worse. Fear. The speaker rose. This session is suspended. Security protocols level 5 are now in effect. Rahl didn't move. His eyes stayed on the frozen image of the waveform, the peaks and valleys of Lila's trembling voice. Her last words, half finished, still echoed in his mind. Don't trust? Don't trust who? The council? Him? Humanity itself? He didn't know. And now, with that unknown enemy moving closer to Earth, he feared he never would. Somewhere far away, in the cold between the stars, something was listening and waiting. The council chamber had been transformed. The silver dome was now surrounded by giant holoscreens, broadcasting the trial to every inhabited system. News drones hovered silently above, their lenses drinking in every flicker of expression, every tense pause. Across the galaxy, billions were watching. This was no longer just a hearing. It was a public trial, and the accused was Captain Rahl. Billions of eyes from mining colonies on the edge of the outer rim, 2 glittering city worlds in the core. Every public viewing plaza was filled with bodies pressed shoulder to shoulder. Some chanted for justice. Others held signs with Rahl's name, painted in both praise and condemnation. On Earth, protests surrounded the council's local embassy, humans shouting for answers to the death of their own child, and everywhere. The same question burned in every mind. Was Captain Rahl a murderer, or the only one telling the truth? Opening statements, the speaker's voice carried the weight of the entire council. Captain Rahl, you stand accused of the unlawful death of Lila Carter, human citizen of Earth, under the direct protection of the Galactic Council. How do you plead? Rahl stood tall, his 4 hands resting on the defense rail. Not guilty. The human delegate's eyes were hard. Not guilty? We've all seen the footage. You've seen what they wanted you to see, Rahl said, gasps. And murmurs echoed across the chamber and no doubt across 1,000 worlds watching the feed. The first witness, the speaker, turned toward the prosecution's podium. Call your first witness. A small spherical object hovered forward, gleaming white metal with a single blue optic. Lila's personal AI companion. The moment it appeared, the holoscreens lit up with archived images of the child and her. Little machine, Lila laughing as it projected dancing lights in zero gravity, Lila whispering to it in a dark corridor, Lila resting her head on it like a pillow. Unit designation? Speaker asked. The AI's voice was soft, almost childlike. Designate Milo. Primary function, companion protector for Lila. Carter, state your version of the events, the speaker said. The AI's optic pulsed once. I am unable to comply. The chamber froze. Why? The speaker demanded. Instruction lock, Milo said. Set by primary user? Rahl's head lifted slightly. By Lila herself. The unexpected glitch, the speaker's tone grew sharper. Unit, this is a legal inquiry. You are ordered to release all relevant data. Milo floated still. Override. Not recognized. Primary user instructions remain active until termination of operational parameters. And what parameters are those? The human delegate snapped. The AI's optic flickered erratically. If Lila Carter is deceased, the room went quiet then. By all logic, your operational parameters have ended, the speaker pressed. Another flicker, and Milo's voice changed, deeper, distorted. She asked me to remember the coordinates. Wait. What coordinates? The speaker asked sharply. The AI's blue optic flared bright, then projected a star map into the center of the chamber. Dozens of worlds shimmered in the projection. But one system pulsed red. The archivist AI analyzed instantly. These coordinates do not exist in any official chart. Of course they don't, Rahl said quietly. They were erased. Reactions across the galaxy and colony worlds watching the broadcast. People stared at the pulsing red system with a mix of fear and fascination. On military outposts, officers were already trying to cross-check the coordinates with ancient logs. On pirate stations, whispers began. A place that doesn't appear on maps is a place where fortunes or nightmares are made, and on Earth. The sight of a mysterious star system, given by a dead child, only deepened the divide between those who wanted Rahl executed and those who suspected he was right. The prosecution strikes back, the human delegate pounced. These are meaningless fabrications designed to distract from the simple truth. You were responsible for her death. Rahl's gaze locked on him. If you think those coordinates are meaningless, you're already lost. Objection, the delegate said, but the speaker's clawed hand rose to silence him. The speaker looked at Rahl. Captain, are you claiming these coordinates are connected to the threat Lila spoke of? Yes, Rahl said. They're where she was taken. Before she was ever placed on my ship. Private tensions, the speaker ordered a brief recess. The holoscreen shifted to display neutral imagery for the public. But in the chamber, voices rose in hushed argument. The human delegate moved close to Rahl. If you're lying, you won't just be executed. Your entire crew will be stripped. Of rank and exiled, Rahl didn't flinch. If I'm lying, you'll be dead long before you can punish me. Is that a threat? The delegate hissed. It's a fact, Rahl said. When the trial resumed, the speaker announced a new course, by unanimous vote. This council will dispatch a covert expedition to investigate the coordinates provided by witness Milo. Captain. Rahl will remain in custody until the mission's return. Rahl's jaw tightened. You're making a mistake, perhaps the speaker said, but unlike you, Captain, we still believe in the law. The holoscreens cut back to the trial feed, showing the captain standing in silence as the public across the stars debated his fate. Somewhere, in the empty darkness of those erased coordinates, something stirred, and it had been waiting a very long time. The coordinates glowed red on every council display, an uncharted system. No records, no traffic. No reason for anyone to go there, except for the fact that a dead human child had told an AI to remember them. It took 3 days for the council's covert expedition to arrive. 3 days in which Captain Rahl sat in a detention cell, silent, while across the galaxy the public speculated about what the coordinates meant. Some believed they'd find proof of Rahl's innocence. Others were certain it was a trap. The speaker's orders were clear. Investigate, record, return. A dead system, the expedition's flagship. Vigilant dawn emerged from warp into darkness. The local star, a bloated, dying sun, cast a dim red glow that barely reached the outer planets. Most of the system was nothing but frozen rock. Scanning, reported the ship's science officer. Minimal energy signatures. No signs of life. But then, a faint blip appeared on the sensors. Not on a planet, not on a moon. Hanging in empty space, far from any orbit, magnification revealed it. A massive station. The size of a small city, drifting lifeless in the shadow of the dead sun. Its structure was jagged, asymmetrical, like it had been grown, not built. No lights, no signals. It was not on any chart, not in any archive, and it was waiting. The first approach shuttle departed the Vigilant Dawn, carrying a mixed team of humans, Endari, and Thurn soldiers. Their hull cameras streamed live to the council chamber and to Captain Rahl's cell. The closer they got, the stranger the station looked. Its walls were covered in strange ridges, almost like bones. The docking bay doors were wide open, as if the station had been expecting them. No power readings, the science officer muttered. Life support offline. Gravity generators inactive. The Thurn commander grinned. Then it's just a tomb. Inside the station, the boarding team stepped into silence. Their suit lights cut through thick clouds of drifting dust. Every surface seemed to be made of some organic alloy, smooth to the touch, but cold as stone. The corridors twisted in ways that made no architectural sense, curving and branching at impossible angles. After 20 minutes of slow progress, they found the first chamber. Rows upon rows of transparent pods lined the walls, stacked from floor to ceiling. Inside each one, a child. Different species, different ages. Eyes closed, motionless, all of them perfectly preserved. Are they alive? One human whispered. The science officer scanned. No, they've been dead for centuries. The human face. They moved deeper into the station, passing chamber after chamber. Most pods held alien children the team couldn't identify. But then they entered a smaller room. In the center, one pod stood alone, beside a human girl. She was older than Lila by a year or two, but the resemblance was striking. Same hair color, same facial structure. The pod's readout identified her as Subject 87H. Homo sapiens, the DNA scanner, returned results instantly. Genetic anomaly detected, the science officer said, voice trembling. Exact same unidentified sequence as Lila Carter. The recording at the far end of the chamber, they found a small console still flickering with faint power. The Endari tech carefully linked it to a portable display, coaxing a single corrupted file to play. The holoscreens in the council chamber. And in Rahl's cell, lit up with grainy footage. A group of children, dozens of species, standing in the same room the team was now in. A tall figure in an armored suit walked among them, checking readings on each pod. Then the alarms began to scream. The armored figure looked up sharply, and the feed distorted, as if something massive had struck the station. The last clear image was of the children being sealed into their pods, and a shadow moving across the doorway. The shape was wrong. Too many limbs, too much height. The feed cut to black. Rahl's reaction back in his cell. Rahl's claws dug into the table. He had seen that shadow before in a different war, on a different world. A war the council still pretended had never happened. In the council chamber, the speaker's voice was quiet. Science officer, can you identify the figure in the SHE? Footage? No, came the reply. But it's not in any known species database. The human delegate's face was pale. Well, then Lila was telling the truth. Rahl's voice came through the secured channel. She was telling you more than the truth. She was telling you what's coming. The last room before leaving. The station, the boarding team, entered one final chamber. Here the pods were broken, shattered from the inside. The walls bore deep gouges, though something with claws had tried to escape. On the floor lay a small object, a child's toy, faded and cracked. The same model Lila was known to carry on Rahl's ship, but Lila had never been here. Had she? The team returned to the Vigilant Dawn with their recordings. The council's public broadcast ended before showing the most disturbing images, but rumors were already spreading. The words coordinates of the dead began trending on the EarthNet in his cell. Rahl stared at the footage of the human girl in the pod, and far beyond the reach of the council's sensors. In the cold between the stars, something vast and insect-like. Shifted course? It was heading straight for the nearest human colony. The council chamber was silent again. The feed from the Vigilant Dawn played over and over the pods, the alien children. The shadow in the doorway, while delegates whispered among themselves. But Rahl didn't look at the screen. He looked at the coordinates. and he knew what was coming. First contact with the unseen in deep space. Beyond the dead system, the Vigilant Dawn's sensor array twitched. At first it seemed like static, a faint irregular echo, far off the starboard bow. But then the readings aligned. Not a star, not a planet, a mass, moving. The bridge crew fell silent as the outline began to take shape on their displays. The object was enormous, more than 3 kilometers long, and utterly black, absorbing nearly all incoming light. Jagged plates and protrusions, almost like insect carapace fused with starship armor. "It's not in the database," the sensor officer whispered. "Nothing matches its profile. No lights, no com signals. And yet, it was heading straight toward them. A warning from the past, the captain of the Vigilant Dawn sent a priority burst to the council. Within minutes, the speaker's office had patched the feed directly to Captain Rahl's cell. The moment Rahl saw the silhouette, he froze. He had fought these ships before. Many had survived those battles. "They'll come in silent," he said. "No shields, no emissions. They don't want to be seen until it's too late." The human delegate stared at the display. "What are they?" "Predators," Rahl said. "Not just soldiers. Harvesters. The floating Toyas, the Vigilant." Dawn maintained distance. A smaller anomaly appeared in the enemy ship's path, a tiny, tumbling object in open space. The science officer magnified the image. It was a child's toy, bright yellow plastic, a human make, the same model Lila. Carter carried when she boarded Rahl's vessel. "Retrieve it," the captain ordered. The recovery drone brought it aboard within minutes. It was scuffed, cracked, but when powered, it projected a flickering, hollow message. The message Lila appeared in the projection. Her face was pale, her voice shaky. "If you found this, then it's already too late. They're coming. Don't try to fight them, you'll lose. You'll have to." The image glitched violently. A shadow passed behind her. Her eyes widened, and then the feed cut to black. The council's divide the projection was played in the council chamber. But immediately, arguments erupted. The human delegate slammed the table. "That's proof she was captured before her death. Proof that Rahl may have been telling the truth all along," a third general growled. "Or it's proof that she was working with them." Shouts filled the chamber. Half the council demanded a preemptive strike on the unknown vessel. The other half urged retreat until more was known. The speaker turned to Rahl. "You've faced them before. How did you survive?" "Didn't," Rahl said. "I ran." The enemy moves back at the dead system. The black vessel shifted course again, no longer toward the Vigilant Dawn, but toward a nearby human colony world. Erevans. Rest. Travel. Time, 73 hours. Population, 2.6 million. A dangerous offer. All leaned forward in his cell. Voice low. "Let me out. Give me a ship. I can slow them down." The human delegate narrowed his eyes. "Why help us now?" "Because when they finish with Ervan's rest," Rahl said, "they'll come for all of us. And by then, you won't have a chance." The speaker stared at the red icon on the tactical display, the one marking the black vessel. Its trajectory didn't change. Speed didn't change. It moved with terrifying certainty, like a predator closing in on prey and far away. In the dark space between systems, more faint echoes began to appear on long-range scans. They weren't alone. First contact with the unseen in deep space. Beyond. The dead system, the Vigilant Dawn's, sensor array twitched. At first it seemed like static, a faint, irregular echo, far off the starboard bow. But then the readings aligned. Not a star, not a planet. A mass. Moving. The bridge crew fell silent as the outline began to take shape on their displays. That object was enormous, more than 3 kilometers long and utterly black, absorbing nearly all incoming light. Its surface was a mess of jagged plates and protrusions. It's almost like insect carapace fused with starship armor. "It's not in the database," the sensor officer whispered. "Nothing matches its profile. No lights, no com signals. Yet, It was heading straight toward them. A warning from the past, the captain of the Vigilant Dawn sent a priority burst to the council. Within minutes, the speaker's office had patched the feed directly to Captain Rahl's cell. The moment Rahl saw the silhouette, he froze. He had fought these ships before. Not many had survived those battles. "They'll come in silent," he said. "No shields, no emissions. They don't want to be seen until it's too late." The human delegate stared at the display. "What are they?" "Predators," Rahl said. "Not just soldiers. Harvesters. The floating Toyas, the Vigilant." Dawn maintained distance. A smaller anomaly appeared in the enemy ship's path, a tiny, tumbling object in open space. The science officer magnified the image. It was a child's toy, bright yellow plastic, a human make, the same model Lila. Carter carried when she boarded Rahl's vessel. "Retrieve it," the captain ordered. The recovery drone brought it aboard within minutes. It was scuffed, cracked, but when powered, it projected a flickering, hollow message. The message Lila appeared in the projection. Her face was pale, her voice shaky. "If you found this, then it's already too late. They're coming. Don't try to fight them, you'll lose. You'll have to." The image glitched violently. A shadow passed behind her. Her eyes widened, and then the feed cut to black. The council's divide the projection was played in the council chamber. But immediately, arguments erupted. The human delegate slammed the table. "That's proof she was captured before her death. Proof that Rahl may have been telling the truth all along," a third general growled. "Or it's proof that she was working with them." Shouts filled the chamber. Half the council demanded a preemptive strike on the unknown vessel. The other half urged retreat until more was known. The speaker turned to Rahl. "You've faced them before. How did you survive?" "Didn't," Rahl said. "I ran." The enemy moves back at the dead system. The black vessel shifted course again, no longer toward the Vigilant Dawn, but toward a nearby human colony world, Erevan's Rest. Travel, time, 73 hours. Population, 2.6 million. A dangerous offerall. Leaned forward in his cell, voice low. "Let me out. Give me a ship. I can slow them down." The human delegate narrowed his eyes. "Why help us now?" "'Cause when they finish with Erevan's Rest," Rahl said, "they'll come for all of us. And by then, you won't have a chance." The speaker stared at the red icon on the tactical display, the one marking the black vessel. Its trajectory didn't change. Its speed didn't change. It moved with terrifying certainty, like a predator closing in on prey, and far away in the dark space between systems, more faint echoes began to appear on long-range scans. They weren't alone. The name Erevan's Rest had always meant peace. A lush blue-green world on the outer rim, it was a place where humans and aliens built homes side by side. Farms stretched 4 kilometers. Oceans glittered under twin moons. The most dangerous thing you could find there was a storm in the spring. But now, it's in the council chamber. The world's image hung on the central hala, and a red warning marker flashed over it, targeted. 72 hours until contact. The colony's ordinary day on Erevan's Rest. The people went about their lives unaware of the danger rushing toward them. Children played in the sunlit streets of New Arcadia. Cargo shuttles came and went from the orbital docks. A fisherman brought in catches from the southern sea, laughing and arguing over the best cooking methods. From space, the planet looked calm. From the Vigilant Dawn, it looked like prey. The black vessel had altered course directly toward Erevan's Rest, accelerating to intercept. And long-range scans now revealed more shapes emerging from the void behind it. Smaller craft. Fast and predatory. They weren't just coming to attack. They were coming to take council fractures in the chamber. The council argued furiously. "Evacuate now," demanded the human delegate. "We have 3 days. We can save millions." A third general shook his head. "Moving that many civilians will be chaos. We should fortify the system and destroy the enemy when they arrive." They destroyed 3 fleets during the first invasion. Rahl growled from his secured feed. And that was when they weren't even trying. Speaker's voice was cold. Do you know how many ships we can get to Erevon's rest in time? The answer came from the logistics AI. 12 combat vessels, 2 carriers. Sufficient. For direct engagement, the decision after hours of deadlock, the council voted narrowly to begin evacuation. But Rahl knew it wouldn't be enough. They don't want the planet, he said. Every ship leaving will be a target. The human delegate frowned. Then what do you suggest? Let me go, Rahl said. Give me 1 ship. I'll draw them away. The enemy's patience on the vigilant dawn. The bridge crew watched the black vessel's steady advance. It didn't deviate. It didn't rush. It didn't even acknowledge the council fleet moving to intercept. It was a hunter confident in its kill. The smaller craft began to fan out, forming a loose perimeter and net, and then the comm officer stiffened. We're picking up something. It wasn't a signal in any known frequency. It was more. Like a vibration in space itself. A deep, resonant pulse. Rahl heard it through the feed and his face went pale. They're calling the others. Erevon's rest reacts. The first evacuation orders reached the colony just before sunrise. Sirens wailed in New Arcadia. Families loaded into shuttles. Schools became staging centers for departure. Some refused to leave, believing the danger was exaggerated. Others demanded to know what was coming, but no one would tell them the truth. A young reporter captured a viral vid from the capital's spaceport. A little girl clutching a yellow toy, staring up at the sky as if waiting for something. The Countdown Council intelligence estimated the first enemy contact in 65 hours. 65 hours to clear. 2.6 million people from a planet. 65 hours before the net closed, and in the cold between stars. Faint echoes appeared on long-range scans again, more massive shapes, just at the edge of detection. Erevon's rest would burn. The only question was whether anyone would still be on it when the fire came. The last stand of Erevon's rest, the sky above Erevon's rest was burning, not with fire, but with the eerie glow of alien vessels moving in formation. Shadows stretched across cities, docks, and farmlands, and the faint tremor of approaching engines shook the ground. For the people below, it was the first sign of terror. For the council fleet, it was the confirmation. The black vessel, and its black vessel, and its black. Its hunters were real, and they were coming for everything. First impact, the vigilant dawn emerged from hyperspace near the outer rim, carrying Captain Rahl and a stolen fleet of scavenged, half-repaired warships. Status. He barked, eyes scanning the display. All evacuation shuttles in motion, the officer replied. But the outer colonies report heavy interference from smaller craft. Hundreds are stranded. Rahl clenched his fists. Then we make a stand. Draw them away. By time. Below, the colony's citizens looked up as the first of the alien tendrils appeared in orbit. They were massive, black, and silent, and unlike any starship the galaxy had catalogued. Then the first strike came. A beam of energy sliced through the sky, vaporizing a shuttle carrying hundreds. The survivors screamed in terror. Rahl's jaw tightened. The hunt had begun. Council fleet joins the battle. The 12 Council combat vessels engage the enemy, opening fire with plasma cannons, missiles, and experimental weapons. The black vessels didn't dodge. They didn't retreat. They absorbed damage, moving steadily toward the planet. They're not fighting to win, Rahl muttered. They're here to collect. The smaller tendrils swooped down to the planet's surface, scanning cities and farms, humans and aliens, alike scattered, fleeing in panic as evacuation shuttles tried to escape the deadly arcs of energy. Rahl turned to the vigilant Dawn's helm. Prepare for a direct assault. If we die near enough to make them bleed. Rahl's Gambitrol piloted the vigilant Dawn straight at the lead black vessel. Missiles flew, lasers struck the hull, and alarms blared as shields threatened to fail. The alien vessel did not move. Its sheer size and absorption fields rendered attacks nearly useless. Then Rahl activated the vessel's experimental weapon, a flux disruptor designed to interfere with the alien ship's energy fields. The weapon hummed, shaking the ship. For a heartbeat, the black vessel faltered. A tiny breach appeared in its surface, and a flash of internal light shone through. Now Rahl shouted, "Focus all firepower here." The Council fleet converged, exploiting the momentary weakness. The human child's legacy, meanwhile. A small yellow toy, Lila's toy, had been carried aboard the Vigilant Dawn. Unbeknownst to the crew, it was an encrypted device, a beacon. The alien tendrils reacted instantly when near it, convulsing in patterns that disrupted their cohesion. Lila's message, her last warning, had been encoded as a trap. Her signal, Rahl whispered, realization dawning. She wasn't just a victim, she saved the planet. The alien ships began to collapse, one by one, unable to process. The human ingenuity encoded in the beacon. The final sacrifice Avon, as the alien threat faltered, the main vessel closed in. Rahl knew the only way to finish the fight was to bring it down personally. "Get the evac shuttles out," he ordered. "I'll handle this." The Vigilant Dawn accelerated, ramming the black vessel's energy core. Explosions rocked both ships. Lights flashed, alarms screamed, Rahl's crew braced for the end. Then, silence. The black vessel was gone, vaporized in a controlled chain reaction. The remaining tendrils fled into the void, leaving only wreckage behind. Aftermath Raven's Rest was battered but alive. Thousands of citizens had been evacuated in time, thanks to the Council's ships and Rahl's daring plan. The Council chamber praised Rahl's heroism, though many questioned the cost. Hundreds of ships were destroyed, countless lives nearly lost. The human delegate approached him. "You saved millions." And she... He gestured toward Lila's toy on the bridge console. "She made it possible." Rahl stared at the toy, then at the starfield outside. "She was more than a child," he said softly. "She was hope, and hope is stronger than fear." Council agreed to establish a permanent defensive perimeter around the outer rim. Wary of the unknown but grateful for survival. The galaxy stunned in the aftermath, news spread across the galaxy. Humans and aliens alike spoke in hushed tones of the black vessels, of the heroics of Captain Rahl, and of the small child who had turned the tide. Yet, even as the celebrations began, subtle tremors in distant star systems hinted at more dangers. Lurking beyond mapped space, the galaxy had survived, but it had been changed forever. And somewhere deep in the void, faint echoes of alien engines stirred, waiting for the next chance. The galaxy was stunned, not just by the battle, but by what humanity was capable of when its courage was truly tested.